Hello and welcome. What I'd like to do in this video is just configure secure shell. The two ways to connect via an IP address to a router are going to be telnet, which is insecure. Absolutely no encryption. Anybody that can see the traffic can see all the traffic back and forth, including your name, password, and all of those sorts of things. The other way is secure shell, and for secure shell we're going to have an encrypted connection, so if somebody does intercept our traffic, what they've got is an encrypted connection. They eventually can crack the password, the encryption obviously, but by that time hopefully it is no longer of any value, and that's the purpose of passwords obviously. So I have my same configuration that I've been using. I've got a workstation, two routers, 192.168, 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3 going through a switch, and I'm connected from the RS-232 port via a rollover cable to the console port of this router. So I'll go back to PC0, I'll go into my terminal connection, and in here I'm on the ISO router. I have the go away banner that I previously made when we did this. In order to enable SSH, I'm going to have to do a couple of things. One's to set a host name, which I already have. The next thing I need to do is configure a domain. We have to have these things because these are used in the generation of the keys that we'll get to in a minute. So we need to go into enable mode and our password that I can't remember. That is so simple. And then once we're into enable mode, we can go into configuration mode. Config T, configure terminal. From there, I need to set an IP domain name with the IP domain. See, I don't have enough. I tried tab, domain, dash, and I still don't have enough. But name I do, IP domain name, and let's do this as demo.local. I just need a domain name, again part of the generation process. So this thing now does have, is part of a domain. The domain is demo.local. The next thing that I need to do is configure a username. So we'll do username, class, password. So we can do that if I got that right. So we have a username. We now have a username, a host name, and a domain name. The next thing we want to do is to generate the crypto keys, and that's in the crypto command. So we have crypto, and I'm going to look at the help screens as we go. Don't be afraid to do that. So crypto key question mark, and then we're going to generate. And if we want to remove the keys, we can zeroize them. Generate question, and what kind of keys? RSA, and the question mark says hit the enter key. What it asks us now is a modulus. How big do we want these things to be? Let's just try the 512 default, just for grins and giggles. And it says that generating keys will not be exportable. So we have a not real big key. We could go up to, let's look at that, the question mark here says the carriage return. Carriage return, do you want to replace them? Let's say yes. And then the modulus here, a decimal number between 360 and 2048. So we can have a 2048-bit key. 1024 is pretty much a standard that users will have with these things. We'll go ahead and do the 512. The longer the key, the longer it takes to generate these things. The next thing that we need to do, the key modulus, we've generated that. We need to enable SSH version 2 on our router. So we'll go back to config mode, which we're already in, and we'll type SSH question mark config mode. I think this one actually does it automatically. Yeah, up here it says SSH 5 has been enabled. SSH 1.5 has been enabled. So we have, by just doing that, generated those things. And this was the error message I was trying to get earlier. RSA key size needs to be at least 768 bits for SSH version 2, and that's the one that we want. So let's go back to our key generation, crypto key RSA, and the options here, carriage return, and we'll say yes, we want to replace him. In the modulus, let's put in 1024 for the key, and now hopefully we can generate SSH 199 has been enabled. So we have, again, we've enabled SSH. Depending upon the size of the key, we're going to get a different secure shell version. In the it just does this automatically in this thing. For the real routers, the actual routers themselves, you'll have to turn on secure shell. Now that we've generated the keys, we need to go into the virtual terminal, the VTY lines, and configure them to use SSH as our transport protocol. So we'll go to config T line VTY04, and now what we want to do is transport the tab key works, and then what's be next, input or output. The input, which protocols are used when connecting to the terminal server. So we're going to do input, and the question mark we can have here, all protocols, none, SSH telnet. So we're going to use SSH. In the actual routers, you're going to want to do, and this is configured to only take one at a time, you're going to want to do SSH and telnet just in case you have an issue. So we're going to configure this one to use SSH. We now are configured to do SSH. What I want to look at quickly here for a minute, when we go to the line, we have the password, we have the encrypted password, we have our no login, and our transport input is secure shell. Now that we've got that configured, let's go to the workstation which we're on. Let's go to a command prompt. Let's see if we can telnet to 192.168.1.3, and it says the connection is closed by the foreign host. It's trying and it couldn't open it. So let's try to SSH to it. Let's see, the username was class, I think, and we're going to 192.168.1.3. It asks us for our password, and our password's password. We're now on our ISR router. So secure shell did work. That's the steps required to configure secure shell on a Cisco router. First, we have to have a host name, we have to have a domain name, we have to have a username and a password, we have to generate the keys, set the key size, the modulus, and then enable SSH if it doesn't get enabled automatically, and then from there go to the telnet lines and configure secure shell as our transport protocol. That's all I wanted to do in this video. I hope this has been useful, and thank you for watching.